All right, this is where Isabella stands now. I've taken off the flywheel. I wasn't worried about damaging these threads because this engine's going to be scrapped. I've removed the engine brake. To get to that engine brake, I had to remove this little bowl-shaped shroud, which is this unit right here. It's held in by, you can see the empty holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that's the wrong way. That way, I think. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Yeah. So it goes on like that. So the engine brake fits in that slot, and the coil wire and all of that, the coil sits here. So this has to come off in order to get to those screws to get the engine brake off. The engine brake I've got saved over here for the next engine I put on this mower. I've got the screws wrapped up in a piece of foil, and then it's just tied to the handle. So next we are gonna get this engine off of there, and that'll be fun to show you how to do that. So we're gonna get this mower tilted back, have the handle held down by that heavy toolbox, and we're gonna remove that screw, this screw over by the oil dipstick, and then there's one up here under the muffler. So 1, 2, and 3 hold this engine on. And this engine is made of aluminum, and so when I've got this mower tilted back, I'm going to be careful not to. The last screw that I'm going to leave attached is the one up front, because the weight of the mower sometimes, or this engine rather, if you remove 2 of these screws and leave one attached in the back, the engine can swing down that way, boom, and it'll break that. It'll break it right off, and then you may have a really damaged engine if you're trying to save an engine and move it to another deck. Say you've got a bad deck, but you got a good engine, you got to get the engine off. You don't want to damage it. This one's going to be scrapped, but I'm going to pretend like that we're trying to save it, and I'll show you how to get this off, and so the motor doesn't drop down the wrong way. So let me put this put it in the holster so we can look at this together, and we're going to get this engine. Off of this deck. So I think I've got that in a pretty good spot. Let's get this thing tilted back now. Get her back. I've got the toolbox on the handle, so this is pretty darn stable. And let me get my gloves on. And underneath here is where the 3 screws are. 1, 2, 3. And they're pretty funky and dirty, so I'm going to get that with a wire brush of some kind. At least so I can get a socket on there pretty easily. That's pretty good. Get that one cleaned off. And that one cleaned off. Okay, so I'm going to take this engine off, and since the engine's going to drop down after I get it loosened, I don't want to have this screw left last, or this one left last. The one I want left last is the one up top. That way the engine is still hanging and it's not going to flip over and snap off that aluminum base and break that. I'm pretending like this engine is still good rather than being scrapped. So let me make sure those are 1/2 inch. I believe they are. Yep, those are 1/2 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and get a breaker bar and at least get them started with that. So we're taking off this engine because I definitely want this deck. It's in real good condition. The wheels are good. The adjusters are all nice and clean and work. And I'll put a discharge chute on there. All right, so I've got my breaker bar with a 1/2 inch socket on that. And if these shear off, which they often do, I'm not going to worry about it because I'm scrapping this one. But clearly, if you're trying to save the engine, you want to be trying to be careful not to do that. So let me see if I can get this one loose. Okay, that one's not going to shear off. That one's not going to shear off. And the last one up here, it's not going to shear off. So these are all going to come off. And I'm going to do these two on the bottom first. Let me get my electric drill here. And the 1/2 inch socket, which I just had in my hand. Where did it go? There's one. Hopefully I've got enough torque on this thing to where I can get these off. Yep, that one's coming out. Get this one started a little bit more. I'm not going to do it all the way. You see the engine's starting to fall back. It's going to go boom like that. And that's where you can break the engine up here if you're not careful. So I'm leaving that one in and taking these off. All right. Got that off. Got that one off. So now I'm going to stand up and I'm going to hold this engine by the crankshaft and take this last one out. Okay, this engine is now off, and I'll show it to you. There it is. Okay, so if this was a good engine, then I'd set this aside and put it on another mower. But since it's got a horribly, horribly bent crankshaft, I can't save this one. At least I don't want to tear up the deck trying to do that. So this is going to be recycled, and this awesome deck can now be used. And I'll put another good engine on there. So that's the story on how to get these engines off without tearing them up. There you go. Stay tuned and we'll work on some more.